Welcome to another month. This month, I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about autistic spectrum disorder. So, there are over 700,000 adults and children in the UK on the autistic spectrum. So, you're very likely to know somebody living with autism or know somebody who knows somebody living with autism. And it's generally a condition that a lot of people don't know very much about and don't know how to support and help with. So, this month, I'm just going to talk you through a kind of overview of what autism is, what it's like living with autism, some of the challenges that people face, how you can support people and try and make life a little bit easier for them, and where people can find support. Autism is a lifelong condition. What causes it is still very much unknown. There is some strong evidence now to suggest that there is a genetic basis for it, but actually identifying the genes responsible has proven very, very difficult. So nobody can say with any real certainty that this exact thing is what causes autism. But it's thought that the symptoms will start to show themselves within the first 12 months of life. So parents might start to notice subtle differences between their baby and other babies, things like lack of eye contact, not particularly wanting to be picked up or not being soothed by being held, not kind of chatting back or making those kind of little cooing noises. There are a few little things that people might start to notice in the first 12 months of life. But how autism is diagnosed is generally by a child psychologist or psychiatrist. Nowadays, they use screening tools, which essentially are kind of questionnaires and interviews with parents, caregivers, schools, and the child themselves to try and understand some of the symptoms that they might be experiencing, their interaction styles, communication styles, and from there they can make a diagnosis. The second part of that is to then try and establish kind of where along the spectrum the child sits, so how severely they are experiencing kind of autistic symptoms. The symptoms tend to kind of cluster into three main groups. So you're looking at kind of impaired social interaction, impaired communication, and engaging in repetitive behaviours. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the symptoms of autism next week. In terms of treatment, there is no cure for autism. That's just who a person is. So we're not looking to cure it. What we're looking to do is to help and support a person with the symptoms that they experience. So help them with their communication styles, language, speech therapy, helping with kind of social interaction or anxiety symptoms. So what we're trying to do is make life as easy as possible for somebody living on the autistic spectrum. And we call it a spectrum because that's what it is. It's not a one size fits all. Everybody on the autistic spectrum is an individual. They all have different strengths, different challenges, different personalities, and the severity with which they experience symptoms can be very, very wide. So for some people, they will only just be on the spectrum, and for others, their impairment will be quite severe. And this is the same for all symptoms, and this includes intelligence. A lot of the time, autism is portrayed in the media as being those with very, very high intelligence. And although this can be true, it can also be the opposite. It's a spectrum. So it's not expecting everybody with the condition to act and behave in exactly the same way. So that's a brief overview of autistic spectrum disorder. And like I said, next week I'll be talking you through a little bit more detail, what it's like to live with autism, some of the challenges that people might face. The following week we'll then be looking at how you can help and support somebody with the condition and make life a little bit easier for them. And then finally we'll be looking at where people can find support. So I will see you all next week.